Today we start our journey and build a factory network that fuels the maximum possible amount of 252 nuclear power plants. Yo! Hello everyone! Welcome back to Prone to Play, and today we are starting a very new project in Satisfactory. Practice time is over. After completing phase 4 in our last episode of the main Let's Play series, we will set sail for an insane challenge today. We are going to build multiple factories in a network that supplies 252 nuclear power plants with a total output of at least 630,000 megawatts. Now, as mentioned in the last video, this will not only be a pure video series, but we will do streams in between for cosmetics or taking care of more time-consuming tasks, so that you will be able to follow the whole journey. Also, despite this project being kind of separated from the other one, general Let's Play series, the save file remains the same, since everything up to this point was also serving as prep work for this project. And if we notice additional demand in anything, there's always the option to extend the main Let's Play series by more factories. If you are interested in getting involved into this and give your input to the project, which I would extremely appreciate, especially for cosmetics and other advices, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any upcoming content. Let's combine our forces and bring the power production of this game to its limit. And some of you already did give input, since I was not too confident about the title being Project 252. So I asked you and other people around me to suggest a more fitting name. And after considering some options, the title will be Nuclear Mayhem. In my opinion, this really gives an idea of how crazy the following months will be, and especially how the result will turn out. Just to give you an idea, we will need all this just to set up the 252 nuclear power plants. No pipelines, no bells, no waste recycling, just the power plants. It's going to be so insane, but the sight of all this at the very end will be insanely awesome as well. So in order to be as prepared as possible for Nuclear Mayhem, I wrote the script for the necessary setup, which of course is still work in progress. All necessary input is written down and divided into different factories that we will have to build. The production is also split into different tiers. For example, a tier 1 factory will produce a very basic part or even just extract a certain resource. And some more advanced productions, being labeled as tier 1.5 or higher, require input from one or more tier 1 factories. You see that not only will we have to produce various parts and bring it together, but we will also have to set up precise logistics networks. All in all, there's a lot to do, but I am very hyped. Today we will start off by taking care of the first required part, which is rubber. For Nuclear Mayhem we will need a factory with a total output of almost exactly 800 rubber per minute. And this is the scope for today. So enough talking from my side, let's get started. And in order to prepare today's journey, I prepared a train on this new parking slot in our central storage. With a total of 6 freight cars, and they barely take the necessary parts for the machines that we need for the rubber factory, if I didn't forget anything. And this is without concrete for the building itself or any cosmetics. This is just the machines that you can see on our to-do list. Let's jump in and head out to the other side of the world, because today's factory setup will take place in the Western Beaches. And I already prepared a little something, so let's for now head to the Nuclear Mayhem gate, turn on self-driving, and buckle up for the start of our new journey. Now you will see in a minute that the setup here in the desert remained untouched. The only thing that I did where the particle accelerator for the nuclear pasta was, I set up a production for, I think it's close to 200 concrete per minute, because we will need so much concrete that the current production was not able to keep up, because I stored everything for the power plants away already, as you saw, so that we can stock up more parts necessary for the future. And here you see the first new addition of the project as well. I prepared a little junction over here, which is basically the gateway to our new project. And this is completely blueprinted. It's basically a multifunctional bridge. We will turn off self-driving very soon so that I can get out, because I have to show you something else anyways, and then I can show you how I did it. But it's basically a blueprint of the bridge with a little details, some display signs giving out multiple colors, and every now and then, I think every 10 or every 40 foundations, we have a little pillar in order to support the bridge. Alright, we are almost there. By the way, you can see the optional hypertube at the roof. But let me turn off self-driving around here. Let's slow it down a little bit. And yeah, this is basically the idea of this bridge. We have a possible highway for vehicles, no patterns because I'm lacking so many cartridges for this, but a two-sided highway for possible vehicle logistics later on. And in our hotkey bar you can also see how I did it. Basically this is the blueprint. Each segment of this is just blueprinted, and so are the pillars, because I have two different segments. And this made it so easy, because it snaps right away if you have build mode blueprint, and you can rotate it, set it down, alternate. Whoops, this was actually wrong. It's a little bit difficult from up here, but I don't want to jump down right now. But yeah, this is how I did it. I have some B-roll for the bridge itself that you can see also in a second. But basically this was the same strategy for the bridge itself. And yeah, with the blueprints, this is made so easy. And even if I did a mistake, the new dismantle mode for blueprints made corrections also extremely easy. Oh yeah, by the way, why I stopped here. In the last episode, where we recapped the world exploration tour that we did on a stream, I was unable to find one crash site right over here that was registered in Satisfactory calculator as well. And while building the bridge, I found it. It's way up here. But I will leave this be for the moment. Actually, no, let's just take it out so we just don't forget. But we have so many excess hard drives at the moment anyways, because there's no alternate recipes left. Yeah, but I just wanted to show you that this does exist, even though I was unable to find it earlier. And maybe we will have some alternate recipes at a later stage in the game in the future available that we can research and unlock with the currently collected hard drives being stored away. But let's continue our journey. And I think in the future I will write this bridge myself. I just wanted to show you what I did so that you have an idea of what happened as preparation, and also how the desert area and the new area that we are about to explore and get our hands on are connected. And currently the bridge setup stops here. And I can actually turn right away. Because up until this point I'm sure that the bridge will remain untouched. But here we are about to enter the rocky deserts. And this area will be where we are planning on setting up our nuclear power plants, all 252, because there's a very open space of water available that's difficult to use otherwise, and it's basically the biggest open space available at the whole map. And yeah, this is because this seems to be the perfect place, at least for current planning. And everywhere around here there are places where we are able to build factories that are necessary for this network, and since the area of fabrication starts around here, I'm not sure how the railway logistics will be set up in the future, which is why I stopped it here and instead went or continued our way to the Western Beaches with this temporary monorail, which is as minimalistic as it can get, but I wanted to get it done quickly, and we will work out the railway logistics at a later stage when we know how it needs to be set up permanent. By the way, don't mind this radar tower, this is a leftover from our world exploration tour. But this was our last junction, and now it's just a one-way to the Western Beaches. Since we are so far high up, it gets a little foggy sometimes, but I'd rather have the view most of the time by being so far high up than to funnel all between the rocks and cliffs. Earlier with the bridge was kind of difficult to set up, and this is why I lifted it that high. But since this is temporary anyways, I decided to go through this funnel here. I just barely clips, but it doesn't matter. And now we finally arrived at the Western Beaches. Whoops. But this is the most efficient way to break here. Alright. And here our first factory will be placed. Because we have 4, although it has difficulties on scanning all 4 at the same time. I have no idea why. Are you okay? I'm trying to explain something here, yeah? Please. We have 2 normal crude oil nodes and 2 pure ones. The second pure one is somewhere around here. And the plan for today is that we set up a 2-sided and maybe symmetrically, but we don't know since we have to deal with the area as is. But we will set up a 2-part factory where the output of the rubber will be split, because the 800 rubber has to be split for 2 different factories that convert these further. So we will have 1 pure crude oil and 1 normal crude oil node connected respectively, and then set up the factory directly above. And I actually have not thought about the layout at all, so yeah, let me think about it a little bit and then I come back to you. Okay, I scouted the area very briefly, and what we have to do in any case is to clear out a little bit of foliage. So I ran around a little bit. Let's take care of this really quick. Okay, have to see if any fauna is still necessary to be removed, but now we have some space to work with, and I'll see you in a minute again. Is it just me, or is it brighter during nighttime? Anyways, I went around and considered a little bit, and I think the best option that we have is to use the oil extractor spots as pillars for the factory itself in the future, and raise everything up so that it makes sense. So let's see. If we take this one as an example and go 40 meters up, it would be something like this. And this actually looks quite good. Initially, I was hoping to connect 1 pure node and 1 normal node immediately, respectively, but seems like the area here is just not plain enough to make it work. At least not that easy. But at the same time, I don't really want to destroy all this foliage, because I like the view and the ambience around here. So I think our best bet is to simply lift up all the oil from each node individually, and then work something out at the very first logistics floor, which we definitely will need. So from this height, everything should be high enough not to conflict with any of the foliage, which is good, which also means that I destroyed the foliage underneath here almost for nothing. But I think this is the plan, and under any circumstances this has to be anything but a square. So it's actually good that this is not a completely perfectly shaped rectangle. I will set up the first floor with foundations really quick on this level, so I will resume again once I placed all the foundations. Okay, the basic foundation is laid out, and I already had to go back to the central storage again in order to get more concrete, which is why I cleared out all the freight cars and stored everything away in these containers. And this is the current result. And I know what you're thinking, this is a rectangle. I know, but hear me out. This covers basically the whole area, with the oil nodes being on the edges. So this is basically the center where we have to produce everything. And currently this platform is 40 by 32 foundations in size. But this is way too big, at least I think so, according to plans, for all the machines that we have to set up here. So after the production setup is done and we take care of the cosmetics, we can cut off everything unnecessary at the edges and see what we really need to keep. So then we can work with different shapes and give it some cosmetic touch. But this is basically the foundation to work with, and this will not stay a rectangle, I promise. But this is for now the working platform, the basic foundation for our factory. And in order to provide everything accordingly, I want to set up a logistics floor. However, because I think the setup here will be very basic, at least for the first floor of the factory, with only being crude oil as an input, maybe water, depending on what we are doing on the first floor. I think 2 walls in height is sufficient for the first logistics floor. However, in the future I want to build it way higher in order to give us sufficient room for all the logistics layout, because yeah, we were getting to our limits in the past by only giving us this much space, and this has to change in the future. But for now I will set up another floor on top of this, but now with 1 meter foundations. So once again, let me take care of this. And now it looks like this. Second floor with 1 meter foundations done. And I actually miscounted. I think it's not 40 by 32 foundations, but it's 40 by 36 actually. So I tried to find the exact center, and this is the current center of the platform. And the next task is to actually work out the first refineries. And in order to do so, I prepared some blueprints that take care of the crude oil and convert it into rubber as well as heavy oil residue. And I do have 2 different blueprints, because the first one was to be set up on foundations, but the second one is without, but still with floor holes for the pipelines and for the conveyor lifts. And I'm not quite sure where to set this up, because at first I was thinking to give myself as much space as possible, but then I remembered, oh yeah, maybe we want to cut this place a little bit leaner once we set up all the machines of this floor. So it doesn't make any sense to squish everything in the corner and then have plenty of space available. So I think we will work a little bit from the center and then spread out and see where this brings us. So In order to set up our current blueprint without foundations, let's see. Where is a blueprint? This is the center. Maybe we delete this one, so we can redo this really quickly. Then we place 2 4-meter foundations on top of it, and now this should give us the possibility to place some refineries on top, and this will be the edge of the first line. I think there will be 4 in total in order to have 40 refineries for the rubber. So let's do this. Delete this again. Replace this again. Whoops, this is actually off. Why is that? Next try. Oh, okay, it was not on blueprint. Now it's done. Okay, and here we have our first 3 refineries with crude oil input, heavy oil residue output, as well as rubber. Due to the way that I did it in the blueprint designer, I was not able to do the lifts, but I will add them later on. And the recipe is already inserted, as well as the power line connections. And now we can try to set up the next ones. Now, will this actually work, or is this too high now? Let's find out. It's too high because the foundations are in the way. Alright, but let's see, maybe if we delete them. Yeah, this looks better. Does this snap? Not quite. Maybe this gone as well, so it snaps to the refineries. Once more. 12. There's actually so much space left on this side that I think I will add this here as well. And now we can cut off 2 of the refineries so that we have 10 on the first line. Because I tried to make use as much as possible of the blueprint designer, and I shoved in 3 refineries for this blueprint. However, if you want to cut the line into 10 per line, into 10 refineries, this does not make any sense, but yeah, I have to work with this now. Okay, but where do we make the cut? I think the first one here is a little bit close. And do we keep 10 in line? Or do we cut off the center one so that we can walk in between them as well? I think we cut off the one in the center so that we can walk in between these refineries as well. 4, 5, 6. Yes. Alright, and now we rinse and repeat this. Have to take care of everything else here. Let me actually delete everything first so that I don't forget, and clean up the missing foundations. Alright, and I also must not forget to connect the power lanes at the end. But this is our first line of refineries done, and this should have plenty of space for the remaining 4. So let's actually see how much space do we give ourselves. Let's actually start from up here again. And rinse and repeat. To turn this around though. Yeah, let's try here. If it's not good enough, we can simply delete this whole blueprint again. But this actually looks perfect. Okay, then how much space do we have left? Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's actually start from this side so we know that we have enough room. Maybe here. And then check if we have enough room for the last one. Now if we want to have this symmetrical, it should be here. Wow, as if it was intended. But do we want to have this so close together? Because we do have to connect all these junctions later. Let's actually check. How this looks from underneath. I think we can make this work. And we still have room to lead walkways around here, maybe. This is not how I intend to do it, but I simply want to check if it fits. Walkway straight. Yes. Alright, I think this is the plan. Looking good. Let me fix this again. Alright, I will set up the remaining refineries and come back to you once the 40 refineries stand and we have cleaned up the foundations as well. Okay, this actually goes way faster than I expected, so let's do the last couple of sets together. Let's delete 1, 2 and 3 foundation blueprints and add 1, 2 and the missing motors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one gets deleted. Now I should have motors. Yes. Alright. Delete the last one. Delete everything that was attached in the center one. And replace the foundations. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whoops. And this is 40 foundations placed in only a couple of minutes with power lines, with pipelines, with recipes. And all we have to do is to connect the in and outputs underneath in the logistics floor. This is actually crazy convenient. Next up, we will have to deal with the heavy oil residue, and we will do this by using blenders. Because since we have all alternate recipes now available, we also have the diluted fuel. Since we have now the diluted fuel available, we can make use of blenders and take the 800 heavy oil residue per minute that is getting produced as a byproduct and convert it into 1600 fuel by using this recipe and 16 blenders. And I did the same as I did with the refinement. I prepared a blueprint where the recipe is already inserted as well as pipelines for in and output, and there are no foundations. Now we have to think where to set this up, and I think we will stick with the center as well, but use the opposite side basically as the second room, so that we have one refinement room and one blending room. So let's maybe delete this one again and start over here. Put this one into position, and oh yeah, let me fill up actually all the parts that we need for this. Let's see what we can do with these blenders, and let's start into this direction again. Maybe center this out as much as we can. This looks pretty centered to me. Nah, it's too far front, but it's alright. And we have the heavy oil residue and water, which is the second input necessary. And we will also have to set up water extractors underneath the factory. So let's make some space and see how many we can fit next to each other until it gets looking weird. I was thinking either 4 and have a square battery, or 8 and have 2 lines again. Let's see. How far are we getting with this one? Let's continue. 5th one. Still have some room. Number 6. Yeah, this should make some good room structure. And then we should be able to set up a 7th and an 8th up here. Yeah, I think this is good. Do we need room to walk between them? This one is actually getting now kind of far out. Yeah, let's actually do one again as well here. Space it out a little bit. And we have, how much room do we have here? 1, 2 squares. And on the other side we have just 1. But there's also room left over here. Yeah, let's fit it in here. 8. Perfect. Let's delete these and put the foundations back in place. Sometimes it's just so easy. Blueprints really makes your life easier. You can't deny that. Let's give us some room here and start same as we did over here. Or did we start here maybe? I don't know. But we should, whoops, should be able to align these. Okay, this is actually not on it, but just one up front. So here. Yeah, that should be in line. Alright, then we can get rid of this and set up the remaining 7. Now why do these snap even though the foundations are still here? I have no idea, but I'll take it. Just take this for placement. And 3 missing. Alright, blending is set up. And to my surprise, again, there's not too much space left on this floor, but still plenty some room to cut off some edges and to make some cosmetic changes to this place. So this takes care of our rubber refinement as well as our fuel blending, which will provide us with the necessary fuel in order to start off our network without the nuclear power plants being in use, since the parts for the fuel rods and everything else have to be produced first. The next thing to do is to set up a total of 134 fuel generators that will consume all this fuel and convert it into power. And to be honest, I have currently no idea at all how to place these here. So please share any ideas that you have. Should we place them on multiple floors above this one? Should we create a power wall that stretches all along the coastline? Or should we do something completely different? Please let me know in the comments what you want to see being done with 134 fuel generators. But please keep in mind that I must be able to execute your ideas, so have some mercy. But that is it for our first episode of Project Nuclear Mayhem. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it would mean a lot to me. Also, keep an eye out for possible streams in the future. Since I am a full-time employee, I cannot set a schedule just yet on a regular basis, but if I am able to stream, I will schedule it as early as possible on the channel. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.